I think I did it. I think I did it. I did it. It's not the fucking computer's fault. It was Streamlabs and OBS, but OBS is now working. But Streamlabs just it kept displaying the stream as the last stream that I did. And when I tried to start the stream, it would start a brand new stream instead of the one that you guys were on. But I think I fixed it. Now the problem is I now need to hide. I had it all set up on Streamlabs perfectly, but now I need to hold on. I need to get the black bar and the criteria all set up. Um, I turned it off and on a million times. I'm using OBS now and I'm not using Streamlabs. That's what the problem was. But hold on. I need to just set up real quick. Oh, fuck no, I did it on the wrong scene. There we go. Add. Okay. No, we're good. We're good. Everyone relax. We're okay. I just need to add everything that I had already added on OBS. Now listen, I saw Jim Miller say something at the very start. He's like, he's like, dude, this isn't a fucking stream you do in August. It's a stream that you do in December. First of all, dude, what? Okay, in December there will still be fights scheduled for January. There'll be fights scheduled for February. The end of the year means nothing. That is a completely arbitrary human creation time. You know what I mean? So no, this is actually the perfect time to do it, especially because yesterday I made a video and I feel like I now understand GOAT rankings better than any other human being ever has. This is not a horrible time to do it, and in December it'll still be the same time to do it. Nothing is gonna change by December. All right. Um. Okay. Effectiveness as a fighter. Accolades matter when level of comp dictate said accolade as impressive. That is what we're going based on. I'm telling you this right now. Ever since I made that video yesterday, I feel like, the movie Lucy when she unlocks 100% of her brain? That's how I feel when it comes to GOAT debates now. And I look back at my old GOAT list and I was thinking to myself, like, man, I just didn't know what I was talking about, but now I know what I'm talking about. Now I know. Not only do I know, but like, I don't think anyone will ever be able to make another GOAT debate. Because here's the thing, man, I broke this shit down to such a science that it's like, I don't think this GOAT list can ever change. I think the current GOAT is still inside of I think the current GOAT right now of the UFC, the only way it cannot be on my list today is if he's currently a sperm cell because he's not born yet. Because I've got it down to such a science that like I have people ranked on here that haven't actually, like, I feel like, really become the GOAT yet, but because I understand their style and their skill set and what it really means to be the GOAT, that like they will be eventually. You know what I mean? Colt, give me 9 months of being a member. Hey Shay the GOAT, can you add Dricus Duplessis or Armin? You know what? Yes, I can add Dricus Duplessis and I can add Armin. I can do that. I can do that. Because luckily for you, we do have an honorable and dishonorable mentions. Maybe there is a chance somebody actually asks for somebody that I realize, like, fuck, they actually should be in here. Maybe. That is actually slightly possible. But, like, for the most part, like, I'll still rank you down here where you're meant to go. Oh, hold on. I have an honorable and dishonorable mentions right here. So yeah. So yeah. I started this stream so late though, man. This is 3 hours after when I normally start streaming, just because I had my technical difficulties. So I actually don't know if this is a good time to do it. If it's not, maybe I'll postpone this for another time. But maybe we'll see. We'll see. We'll see here. Did I take up a little bit too much of the screen with my fucking criterion? Maybe a little too much. Let me shrink this a little bit. Let me shrink this a little bit. But I also don't want to spoil who I have on here. Okay. I think that's okay. I think that's better. I think that's better. Obviously, you got to have the dishonorable mentions because I think that there are some people that just deserve to be hated. You know what I mean? And, you know, I feel like some of you guys might not like it, but that's just how it works in today's day and age a little bit. For example, man, I think the very first dishonorable mention on this list is, yeah, I'll shrink it a little bit more. I'll shrink it just a wee bit more. Don't you guys even worry. There we go. There we go. Guys, you guys can't deny, though. One thing I feel like you guys cannot deny. I at this point, I hope all of you guys have watched the video I posted yesterday. Dude, I had the idea of making one of those videos. And I, of course, and I know other people have made some of these videos in the past, and I don't want to name any names. But like I was watching certain people's versions of their like the problem with every GOAT in MMA video, and like I was watching it and like they'd like, dude, it was so atrocious. Like they'd get to like GSP and they'd be like, GSP, oh god, I'm almost spoiling my list. They'd be like, oh, GSP won so many fights by decision, not my GOAT, and then just move on. And then I was like, dude, what the fuck, man? That is so like that's just like, what are we talking about here, man? What are we talking about here? It's just, it was so atrocious, dude. It was so atrocious. And again, I'm not going to name any names, but I'm like, this is the extent to us analyzing somebody's true position as the GOAT and what it means to really be the best. You know what I mean? But am I wrong though, man? I was like, this is so bad. I can make this video so much better. And I feel like we definitely did. I think we definitely did. That was a great video, wasn't it? I guarantee you there's not one person in chat who thought that was a bad video. Dude, streaming at a different time is interesting because I'm seeing a lot of names in chat I'm not used to seeing. But, you know, of course, I think the very first dishonorable mention that has to be on this list of course is, well, you know, Keith Peterson, luckily for you, you're allowed to skip into videos if you've already seen it. Keith, by the way. Keith is the biggest hater on this channel, I swear to God. And it's okay because you are a member, but like you're such a hater. You're never okay with anything on this channel, dude. You're not. But yeah, you were allowed to skip ahead if you've already seen it, but I'm so proud of that analysis. Tanish Quantas, thank you for the 100 rupees, buddy. Hello. Hi, buddy. How you doing? Of course, Jack Della Maddalena has to be the very first dishonorable mention because what do you mean I'm so past my prime, Jim? What do you mean I'm so past my prime? I think you're past your prime, Jim. I think when I first made you a moderator, I think you were... I think that's when you were at your peak, and I think now, here's the thing about you, Jim. Here's the thing about you, dude. I feel like in the past, you were healthy, and I think it's not that you don't look healthy now, but you look less. That's what I would say about you, Jim. But Jack Della Maddalena has to be in a dishonorable mention because, you know, again, I think that whenever you take a fighter who... I just can't think of a fighter who is so bad, but for the longest time, people thought that he was really, really high level. And that is just something I just like, dude, the guy does not belong in the welterweight division. Like, he's fighting in the wrong division. I don't think there's anybody you're going to see listed on this list that has had a resume age worse. Like, dude, you look at every single person that Jack Della Maddalena has ever beat, and it's been horrible. He's beating like Randy Brown. He's split decision Kevin Holland. I know I've defended that split decision over Kevin Holland, which I still do. I don't think it's not impressive that he beat Kevin Holland because of how they match up stylistically. But then, you know, you look at like he beats Gilbert Burns, and he was losing that fight, and he landed that fucking Hail Mary knee. And then, you know, Bilal Muhammad, you know, he had a decent game plan for Bilal, but dude, his resume was so fucking terrible, man. And people kind of gaslit me into thinking that he was better than he really was, and that's how you know that somebody is really, really bad. Wait till you tell me to remember, Figgy plus Aljo better be 17 and 16, especially with Aljo's failure success. Dustin, Strickland, Cruz, Gone, and Izzy need to be honorable mentions. Figgy, most underrated GOAT? Most underrated of all time? Yeah, dude. Yeah, I don't know about that one, man. I really don't know about that one. I really don't know about that one. I don't know about that one at all. Well, I mean, listen, you know what? I can neither confirm nor deny that Davison Figueiredo or Aljamain Sterling is on this list at all. If you want, I guess I could either add them or not add them, whether or not they're here or they're not. But I'll tell you what, they're not top 17. I'll spoil that. Next is honorable mention, you know, Joshua Van. Listen, guys, I will say one thing about Joshua Van. I filmed a video that Don Lowe is currently editing right now. And you know, let's just say I may or may not have watched Joshua Van versus Tetsuro Taira, and then I watched some Pantoja fights, and I may or may not have honestly now have a completely different outlook on Joshua Van versus Pantoja. Maybe I even think that Joshua Van can beat Pantoja after watching this. I don't know. You guys will have to wait until that video is out. However, because that video is not out yet, I am going to maintain status quo about my prior opinions on Joshua Van, and I will keep doing that until that video is out because I just want to keep you guys on your toes. Okay, that's what I want to do. All right, next for an honorable mention, dude. I don't think you can make a GOAT list without LeBron James on it. You know, I think LeBron, what he's accomplished pretty much his entire life has been insane. I think he's probably the best athlete the world has ever seen. Now, I think a lot of you guys are potentially wondering, why, though, is he only an honorable mention? Why does he not crack the top 17? It's because he's no longer a Laker. During his 8-year stretch as a Los Angeles Laker, I would have told you that he was by far the best basketball player of all time, and now that he is no longer a Laker, he has dropped to only an honorable mention. The only reason he's not a dishonorable mention is because of the series against the Rockets made me believe again, you know. Now, next, another honorable mention is Valentina Shevchenko. And here's the thing, man, honest to God, man, I think Valentina Shevchenko could be considered a top 17 greatest fighter of all time, but I think that I don't care enough about her or her skill set or her abilities or her personality or any matchup she's ever had or any accomplishment she ever had to like actually think about that. So that's just, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, that's just pretty much it. Like, honestly, maybe she belongs here, but I'm not going to think about it because I don't want to think about it. You know what I mean? I don't care about her. You know? Next is a dishonorable mention. This guy could have been an honorable mention, but I think he's probably the worst YouTuber on the platform for creating MMA content, and that's Mighty Mouse. I think Mighty Mouse definitely does not belong in the top 17 when you look at anything he's accomplished. I think like he's one of those guys that like, again, right, you know, I made that GOAT video yesterday, And going back and watching film on Mighty Mouse, I will legitimately say, man, it was very beautiful to watch the way he was able to mix everything up. I think, like, honestly, man, like, I think, like, his you know, even his boxing was pretty good. His boxing was good. His kicking game was pretty good. I think, like, his wrestling was very good. I think his, like, jiu-jitsu submission game during his peak was a little overrated, but it was good. It was very good. He's a bit of an armbar merchant, though. But I think at the end of the day, man, like, you look at him fighting 24-year-old Kyoji Horiguchi. Kyoji was doing really good on the feet against him, even landed some really big shots. But, oh yeah, I forgot I'm supposed to be ranking these people. Okay, he's way better than Joshua Van and Jack Della Maddalena, sorry. But however, Kyoji was so young, he didn't know how to grapple yet. That was the one thing that kind of kept Mighty Mouse in that fight. I think, like, even like a Henry Cejudo, I think Henry Cejudo is very good, and obviously DJ lost to Henry when he fought him in his prime. That was a very close fight, but even Henry's just such an old school fighter, man. Henry Cejudo, pure wrestler, very little submission ability, very little, like, ability on the ground outside of smudging, you know what I mean? No back takes, no submission game. He was also a fighter from a very different time, you know? So, you know, I don't know, man. I just think that, like, DJ is somebody who potentially, based on his skill set, you know, I don't know. It's tough to say because he was way too small, as we talked about yesterday in that video. He'd get smashed by a lot of the top flyweights today, but I don't think he really ever proved his abilities. Really, I mean, no, dude, when he fought a 150-pound Dominic Cruz way, way back in the day, I understand DJ was a little bit younger then, he was getting literally tossed around. He was getting completely tossed. He was getting ragdolled, man. He was getting suplexed. And now, like, every flyweight is walking around 150 fucking pounds, dude. And again, right, like, I think you could call him being small and what he accomplished as impressive if he had actually fought pretty much anybody that was very high level, you know? Dude, yeah, I don't know, man. And if it wasn't for his YouTube channel and how horrendous it was, I would have potentially ranked him as an honorable mention. Speaking of somebody who I just referenced, who I'm gonna have as a dishonorable mention, man, that's Kyoji Horiguchi. Kyoji Horiguchi, dude, is another guy that you guys, this is all your guys' fault, and I brought this up before and I will bring it up again. You guys made me believe that Kyoji was a lot better than he really was. You guys did that, by the way. Like, I remember kind of looking at his skill set and looking at him and saying, you know what, man, I think he's very technical on the feet. I think that I like his karate style. I like how he blitzes in and out, but I see some kind of holes in his game defensively. I think he's a little small for the weight class, doesn't have a lot of power, and you guys all told me that I was crazy. And again, right, it's just, dude, this is hard, man. I'm telling you guys the truth, and I'm being accused of rage bait, which is, I feel like that's normal when you go against the grain sometimes. But I'm just being honest with you, and I really thought that for the longest time. I was like, I just don't feel like he's really all that. Not in the UFC. I don't feel like he's all that. You guys all made me believe otherwise based on what you're doing right now. You guys bullied me into changing my opinion. And then he fought Manel Cape. And then I told my buddy Jackson, as you guys all know, I went, dude, Horiguchi's the underdog. I don't think he's all that, but my chat swears up and down that this guy's the future of the flyweight division. Bet on him against Cape, and then he got knocked the fuck out. And then I was like, I knew it. I knew it the whole time. And then you guys made me think otherwise. You know? And again, right, but I know he looked good up until the KO, but that was what my thought process was of him, was that I think I like his style. I like how elusive he is. I like how hard he is to hit, the way he can move in and out of range, I think is very good. But I was just looking at his attributes mainly, and I was like, I just don't think this guy stands a chance at the top of the division anymore. I think the flyweight division's evolved. That's what I truly believed, and you guys gaslit me otherwise, and therefore he's a dishonorable mention, but he's better than JDM. He's better than JDM. Black, I think much remember Nakalaev getting a bit higher on the Lakers offseason moves, and we still not beating OKC and the Spurs. Joshua Van is beating Pantoja. Donlo is currently editing a video that I think you guys are really going to like, where I react to Joshua Van's fights. And again, right, for anyone who maybe missed what I said, I honestly might have a very different opinion about Joshua Van after doing some film study and making the video that's being edited right now. But because you guys don't know that yet, because the video's not out, I'm going to maintain status quo. Yeah, dude, we are a better team than we were last season. We were. Losing Marcus Smart and Rui is tough, but like we leveled up to such a crazy extent in the center position. You know what I mean? Like I think Colin Sexton's a good pickup. I think that Mamu guy's a really good pickup, and he's a very good shooter. We are a better team now, and it's not over yet, man. I still think we can make some moves to get marginally a little bit better. And again, dude, last season we were on a fucking tear until Luka and Reeves got hurt. Fringsko, thank you for 50 Shek. I tried watching the NBA, but there's 2 to 3 times more ads and replays than actual gameplay. Yeah, listen, dude, I can't even speak to it because I was just born a Lakers fan, so I don't even, dude. It's just like I can't even speak. I've never tried to become a fan of basketball. I just always have been because of the Lakers and you know my dad. Carlos Condon, dude, intro is Jew Tax. I love the new vid shape. Thank you, buddy. I really appreciate it. Yeah, that I was really proud of that video. I was really proud of it. That video is gonna do very, very well over the long haul for sure. I'm glad you liked it, and I appreciate the Jew tax, buddy. I love you. Let's see. Aiden's MMA, I think with $5. Hey, Shay, how much would it cost for you to react to a live video I made about how you're the GOAT? It's less than 5 minutes long. You made a video about how I'm the GOAT? It's less than 5 minutes long? No, fuck it. Another $5 and we'll watch it. I mean, you guys gotta understand, like, I hate being stingy about that, but, like, when the title is ranking the top 17 greatest fighters of all time, and then people click in and I'm watching a random-ass YouTube video, it's not super congruent with maintaining people interested in watching. So, I'll for another $5, we can do that, I guess. What's nerdy podcast? Here's Tom vacated the heavyweight belt? No, he didn't. No, he did not. No, he didn't. Ah. Nice. Nice, dude. Nice. Anyway. Next in the honorable mentions, Jose Aldo. Dude, you know what? I'll tell you what, I didn't actually watch, hey, shit, why don't you take my thumbnail session? Which one are you? Are you the one who's talked about the goats? Yo! Okay, fucking Aiden's MMA sent double the fucking money. Thank you for the $10, buddy. Let's go. It's the last video on my channel. Just posted it. All right. Aiden's MMA. Please come up. Fuck yeah. Whoa, MMA Shay is the GOAT? Dude, yeah, that's me. That is me as a child. Okay, you know what, listen, I need some, I guess I'll get rid of this in the meantime. Bro, I can use some thumbnail support sometimes. How do you make me pop out so much? Because this is not the highest quality photo of myself that I've personally released. But, you make it pop so much. And dude, you know what, man? A lot of people kind of rag on me about my greatest accomplishment in life. Is that fucking I won a bronze medal in a Taekwondo competition. But dude, that was a big Taekwondo competition. Jabrax, thank you for the 2 pounds. Hold on, how much to finish this damn video first? What do you mean finish this damn video? You mean finish the live stream that we're doing? $20. $20 and I'll fuck off with this. $20. Is MMA Shay the GOAT? I mean, I don't know exactly in what way you're calling me the GOAT, but let's see. Thomas Burnley with about 5 pounds. If Aljo somehow won the belt at 45, maybe subs a Silva like Lopez nearly did. Is Aljo top 15? Yeah, for sure. 100%. 110%. 110%, dude. Yeah, for sure. He might even be top 15, dude. He honestly might be top 15. All right, well, if the bidding war is over, I'm gonna click on this in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Everyone has their favorite MMA content creator, right? People will swear by MMA gurus.
Ah, shit. Okay, I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. Braxton, thank you for the 20 pounds. Let's go. All right, I guess we're doing this at the end of the stream. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That is true. I asked for 20. That's $19.99, but also it is pounds. Ah! Okay, you know what? Whatever. Okay, I did reveal the people on there, but it's not in the correct order. So it's not, I guess it's not actually that big of a problem. I guess it's not that big of a problem. And you have no idea who's going to be in the dishonorable/honorable mention, so I guess it's okay. Yeah, pounds is more money, so I guess I have to. I'm sorry. We will watch your video at the end then when I'm done with the list, I guess. All right, the next dishonorable mention, just the next mention in general, I'm going to give it to Stipe. Oh, sorry, I never even really talked about Aldo. So I saw Lucas made a video about like, oh, old heads and the GOAT debate or something like that. And I saw it was like a picture of it was like I believe he was I didn't watch the video, but I believe he was referencing it's the new show they have with Dustin and Chris Weidman and Masvidal. And I saw a clip from that of Masvidal being like, dude, Jose Aldo's the GOAT, man. He's the GOAT. And then somebody was like, well, what does Volkanovski need to do to become the GOAT? And then he was like, oh, dude, fucking nothing, man. Fucking nothing. Jose is just that fucking good. And I'm like, that's just fucking stupid. That's stupid. Jose Aldo, man, like, Jose Aldo fought Volkanovski, like, pretty much in his prime, dude. Like, Jose went down to 35 after that fight and did phenomenally well down there. He was still in his prime, and he got beat by Volk. He lost to Max Holloway twice. I know Max stylistically is obviously matches up very well to him, but like, and I know Masvidal was saying like, oh, the WEC days. I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. He was fighting Uriah Faber, who's a bantamweight, and he was a 45er, dude. Like, what the fuck, man? This is just a completely different era, dude. It's completely different. And again, right, and I mentioned this yesterday in the video that I made, but people, again, like, I feel like the way my criteria works is more congruent to a boat list, but still, I just don't understand the huge differentiator, because, you know, when I do lists like this, a lot of people say, they go, oh, this isn't a GOAT list, it's a boat list. But then again, if I were to tell you right now that Jon Jones is my GOAT, what are you guys gonna say? You're gonna say, but he split decision this guy, and he barely beat this guy, and he lost to this guy, and Dominic Reyes beat him, and so you're literally, your argument just pretty much is 100% how good was he? Who did he beat? What skills did he use? That's literally just what you're doing. He didn't send me anything but $2. How much to tell Jabraxon to and to watch anyway? Okay, so you sent $5 to ask me to watch it. You sent $10 to watch it. That's $15, and now you've sent another $2. That's $17 total. He donated 20 pounds. How much is 20 pounds? $27. That's more than I thought, actually. So you've sent 17. He sent 27.18. If you sent another $11, we'll watch it. If you just outbid him. You know what I mean? He sent 27. You've sent 17. So if you sent $11, you're at 28. We'll watch it. But we will watch it regardless. We'll do it at the end of the stream. But anyway, so Jose Aldo, man, again, legend, very good, phenomenal takedown defense, but you cannot compare him to fighters of today. I don't care how many WEC title defenses he has. Your accolades are only important when the level of competition dictates that accolade's impressive. It's like, oh, I've got fucking 15 title defenses. It's like, yeah, but if you're fighting a bunch of fucking numbnuts, then why does that mean anything to us? You know what I mean? So anyway, the next honorable mention, I'm going to give it to Stipe. Again, Stipe, great fighter, man. But again, he fought during a time where, you know, like what's there even to say? Stipe's a pure wrestle boxer, super old school guy. He was walking around the same weight as fucking Josh Hokett at heavyweight. Like, this is just not the day. This is just not it. Fuck, Jabraxon, 2 pounds. I'm topping up on my new tax. Fuck, I'm sorry. He's making it harder on you, man. Now he's up to about $30, 30 bucks pretty much. You just got to outbid him, dude. But yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. That's where he belongs. Let's see here. The next dishonorable mention's Paddy Pimblett. Dude, how great of a fighter can you really be if you're ducking a fight with a fucking YouTuber? I hate to pull fucking Jake Paul out over here, but Paddy Pimblett is still on vacation. He has still left me on red when I asked him when to. And dude, you know what? And by the way, people called this in chat and they called me crazy at the time when Paddy Pimblett told me to show up to New Gen anytime and he'd stomp my head in. A lot of people in chat did say, they're like, dude, he's probably gonna send you over there and he's not even gonna be there. You know? And then I was like, yeah, that's probably, yeah, that's true. I'm going to ask him, like, dude, give me a date and I'll show up. Give me a date and I'll show up. Then a bunch of people in chat were telling me, they were like, dude, no, just show up anyway. Just show up anyway. I was right. He's still on vacation. He's not home yet. Look at his Instagram. He was at Disneyland like fucking 3 days ago. He's in California, believe it or not. He's really close to me. Aiden's MMA, $20. Did I win? Yeah, you won that one. You won. Okay. You won. Aiden's MMA has won.
Bedtime, Ariel Helwani, or even chud-ass Jaden Cable. But if we're talking about the creator...
Jaden Cable wants to ask me to collab with him, and I was, oh shit, I gotta get rid of this shit. And I was literally gonna do it. I was gonna do it, and then we set up the time for like 3 p.m. my time, and then all of a sudden that day they were just like, hey dude, let's get on at like fucking noon. And I was just like, what? I was like, what are you talking about noon? Like, I need to, you said 3 o'clock. And then they're like, yeah, noon now. And I just didn't show up for it because I had to train, but I was gonna do something with him. By the way, who thinks Ariel Helwani is the best fucking MMA YouTuber, man?
Delivers the best overall content over and over and over again. There is no debate who is the GOAT. MMA Shay. And it has nothing to
Dude, where are you finding these photos from, man? This is from when I competed at Jiu-Jitsu Worlds, dude, and I won gold that year. Where'd you even get this fucking photo? Oh, we cannot hear the video? Uh-oh. Oh, my desktop audio was down the whole time.
Everyone has their favorite MMA content creator, right? People will swear by MMA Guru, Bedtime, Ariel Helwani, or even chud-ass Jaden Cable. But if we're talking about the creator who consistently delivers the best overall content over and over and over again, there is no debate who is the GOAT. MMA Shay. And it has nothing to do with his analytical predictions.
God, dude, I'll tell you what, man. People talk about how narrow my clavicles are. They're not anymore, by the way. But here, I was so scrawny. I competed at 168 pounds this year. That was the weight class I did. 168 pounds. And I was walking around 168 pounds. I'm now like I am a square 190 right now. I have gained about 20 pounds. But man, was I a scrawny fucking kid back then.
Breakdowns, although they are good. It's the way he builds the hype, paints the scene, brings the energy, and interacts with his fan base on
and the gay jokes. You can't forget about the gay jokes.
Daily basis. For starters, he can actually fight. Aikido black belt.
Look, yeah. Someone's done their research, man.
You mentioned youth Taekwondo prodigy.
Yep.
He's trained with a plethora of UFC fighters and UFC caliber fighters alike. Unlike some of these content creators, like the Guru, Ariel, let's not talk about Lucas Tracy, and don't get me started.
No, someone 9348, bro. I've been shoulder pressing like a motherfucker the last like 3 years of my life. I'm so much broader than I was back then, man.
On Jaden the Plant Cable.
Why is Jaden Cable a plant? Why would he be? I didn't even know that. If I didn't, why? I know he does work with a lot of fighters, but
built his channel from the ground up.
I did.
Starting with faceless videos and now averaging hundreds of viewers per stream when he goes live. Almost 1,000
Hundreds.
videos posted, all long form. Bro has been on the grind for years.
Yeah. Dude, what I do on this platform, I do not really consider grinding, but I make shit, I guess.
And I am a big fan, and I'm going to tell you guys exactly why. He is way more entertaining on his lives than all the rest of these guys. No joke, last live I was in, he was attempting to fight Paddy Pimblett.
I think I fuck up Paddy Pimblett.
Who he would beat, by the way.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. I would.
And guess what? That fight's fucking scheduled. That's how locked in this guy is. That's how locked.
I mean, listen, it's not scheduled, but that's not my fault, man. You got to blame Paddy for that, dude. Paddy Pimblett he straight up ducked me.
In MMA Che is. It's clear he has more aura than everyone.
Thank you.
Everyone in the MMA content community. Aside from that, though, and aside from me, he doesn't have more aura than me. Let's not get ridiculous here. Let me tell you what inspired me to make this video, though.
Okay.
As we know, I will be the biggest MMA content creator very, very soon. Quitting my job in probably 6 months, if I had to guess.
Okay.
Once I start making hella bread from this.
Yeah.
And on this journey, I've been studying the other creators.
Yep.
Looking for advice, trying to figure out the algorithm, figure out what works and what doesn't. I've asked plenty of people for advice, plenty of big names, actually. I asked the guru himself for advice, and he basically said, good luck, get fucked. And I was like, okay. And then he was like, it takes years, kid. And he did some dumbass impression or something.
It did not take me years, personally.
I don't know. Wasn't listening because he just ignored me. Anyway, I've shared DMs with Jaden Cable himself. He gave me advice that was extremely unhelpful and basic, which he basically said, just keep going, good luck, and I was asking for legitimate advice.
I already know what advice I gave him. I told him to just fucking take a fight that's really, really close between two people, one that is very split down the middle on who's gonna win, and then just make a video saying it's not gonna be close. That's the secret, man. I already know, man. I think I remember you asking me, or at least a few people have asked me this, and that's the advice I give them.
He's also an industry plant, and I don't have that type of industry plant power to just be making videos with fighters all the time. Anyways, but ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. I paid $1.99 for a message in MMA Che's chat. $1.99. And he gave me the greatest advice of all time. I asked a simple question. Hey, Che, I'm new to MMA content, struggling with long-form video views. Any advice? Che not only did Che respond, he gave me the blueprint for a perfect video. He spent probably 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and I'm just a regular chatter, just like anyone else.
And you know what? I will say, not to toot my own horn, but I will just be honest with you. These days, $2 is fucking nothing to me, man. There was a time when I first started streaming that if I got a $2 dono, I'd get like 50% hard. Like, I would honestly start getting erect. But nowadays, like, yeah, that's nothing. But I treat every dono with a lot. I'm very grateful to every dono that I get.
Minutes explaining exactly how I need to make my thumbnail, what my title should be, how it should look, how to structure my video. And guess what? First of all, let me set the scene. Up to that point in my career, and this was just like 2 weeks ago, my most viewed long-form video was 300 views. But after taking MMHA's advice, I posted that video, the exact video that he gave me the blueprint for, and it got almost 2,000 views.
Hey, I knew it! 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 Dude, that's the secret, dude. That's the secret. Take a fight that people are like split down the middle on and just say it won't be close. Whether you're right or you're wrong, just don't look at the comments and just fucking keep going, man. That's the secret.
Over 5 times my previous best. Long story short, MMA Che's the GOAT because he truly cares about his fan base. He's not afraid to help someone get a leg up in the content game either. So Che, if you're watching this, thank you so much. God bless you. See you at the top, brother. Hope you subscribe as well.
Yeah, bro, I got you. I'll be eagerly waiting for your career to blossom, man. Again, man, you've got the secret, dude. You've got the secret. I should write a book about how to succeed in the MMA content space, man. I should write a book. Dude, yeah, great video, man. Thank you for all the glaze. Thank you for all the glaze. Steve, think of $100 if Patty tries Mexican food, we're losing him to heart disease before 2027. Yeah, dude, dude, Patty Pimblett, man. Like, dude, people are saying that he's going to be fighting by the end of the year against Ilya or Charles. Dude, the dude's like 215 pounds right now. He said he wasn't going to do that anymore, but he's fucking fat now, man. Crazier than a 2020 member figured. Yeah, dude. By the way, Darker Eye, I gave you all the hints to what my video was going to be yesterday. I gave you all the hints, and figure was all you needed to know for sure. I subscribed, didn't I? Yeah, I subscribed. Gaslighters. Yeah, great video, man. Thank you. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, Patty Pimblett. I mean, what else is there to say, really? He told me to show up to his gym to fight him at any time. I knew that he was probably baiting me on fucking flying a fucking 12-hour flight to Liverpool, and the dude wasn't even gonna be there. He's still on vacation. He's still ducking me. He fucking, I kind of get it. If you are gonna be fighting Ilya Topuria next, which that honestly might happen, you know what I mean? Like, I get it. You know what I mean? Probably don't want to risk your reputation fighting in a gym war against someone who's likely to beat you. You know what I mean? And listen, I'm not saying the fight is not going to happen, but what I am saying is he called me out and I have now been completely left on red. No, Dana, no. Dana has no power on whether or not I show up to the gym and we fucking fight, man. He has no power there. But I mean, listen, I understand from Patty's perspective a little bit. Like, he has nothing to lose. I mean, he has nothing to gain and everything to lose. I have nothing to lose and everything to gain. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say nothing. If I go in there and look like a complete fucking retard, you know what I mean? Like, no hate and no disrespect, but like, if I hypothetically looked like Guru wrestling Armin, yeah, that'd be a terrible look. But obviously, I would never look like that. Because, I've been training, I've been doing all forms of martial arts for like probably, coming up on a decade in a couple of years. You know what I mean? So I've been training such a long time. You know what I mean? With the padded gloves, with the shin pads on, I have a massive advantage, and I think he knows that. I don't think he wants to do, obviously, and I'm not saying it's not going to happen. But what I am saying is I did everything I could. He left me on red. He told me to go to his gym. When I said, just give me a date and I'll be there, he left me on red. He's still on vacation. He's not home yet. Maybe when he's back, he'll finally respond to me. I doubt it, but, we'll see. I don't know, man. It's a shame. He doesn't want it, man. Jabrag, $5. All right, no more distractions till the list is finished, please, my Hebrew hammer. You got it, buddy. You got it, Jabraxon. You got it. Crank a Kumar, thank you for the $10, buddy. I really appreciate that. To send $10 and just fucking not say anything, like, it's crazy. There was a time where I would have put Icy Hot on my balls for that. Thank you so much, buddy. All right, guys. All right. Are you ready to start the list? These are all the honorable and dishonorable mentions I have. There could have been a ton more, but this is who I have. Patty's a better fighter than JDM. Are you guys ready? Never mind. Steve, thank you for the $5. Mad Maz's latest Hamzat video is about him using Krydov to force a 17-year-old to marry him. It's so bad. Ugh. Wait, really? Dude, that's horrible. That's horrible. That's absolutely horrible. Dude, it's just like, I understand. Here's the thing, right? People joke about Mosvar. People joke about Mosvar marrying a 17-year-old, and I get it. It's a little, but Mosvar was 21. The girl was 17. That's a 4-year difference. Like, I understand cultural norms there are so different. Like, whatever. 21 and 17 is not the worst thing in the world. But Hamzat's a 30-year-old man, dude. And listen, right? I'm 25 years old. And, for example, I have a little sister who's 18, who just turned 18. You know, I interact with a bunch of her little friends sometimes when they come over or whatever. Like, and dude, like, as a 25-year-old, when I talk to an 18-year-old girl, it's just like you are literally a fucking child. Like, there's like nothing me and you can connect on in any way. You know what I mean? Because you're a child, and that's just how it is, dude. And that's normal. But like, God, for a 30-year-old man to want to marry a 17-year-old, and unless here's the thing, I didn't watch the video yet, so I don't know all the details, but it's just so fucked. It's just so weird. Steve Inventory, it's literally forced. She didn't want to. Fuck, dude. Maybe that's what the stream should have been about today, man. Fucking Hamzat's a fucking pedophile. Every woman is a child. All right, Domlo, let's keep that. Let's just not. Let's keep that opinion on the download. By the way, Domlo, why are you not working on my newest video, by the way, dude? Yeah, maybe we'll watch that tomorrow. Okay. The 17th greatest fighter the UFC has ever seen. In my opinion. And now this person, the last time I did my top 17 list, they were in and around this. Like their position is not changing a ton. But the 17th is Tom Aspinall. Now, again, right? There was a time in all of our lives where we thought that Tom Aspinall literally that Tom Aspinall would beat any living creature that's ever breathed. Right. And you know what? I think we've all come to a point now where we know that's not true. That's not true at all. Tom Aspinall is a very good fighter. I think he's very well-rounded. I think he's a very good athlete, a lot of power, very good jiu-jitsu. His wrestling is, he's slightly more of a football tackler. But I'm a big Tom Aspinall fan. And, listen, I think that, him versus Cyril, whenever that rematch is going to happen, I think will be interesting. I think it'll be telling when that happens. But, as of right now, I think Tom Aspinall defensively leaves a bit to be desired. He's way too used to capitalizing on his speed and his blitzes. You know what I mean? He leaves himself open. He runs into shots pretty regularly. I think that there are some aspects to his game that can definitely be exploited. I don't think he's as polished as people try to make it out to be. But I still think skill for skill, power for power, I think that he's a fucking problem. I think very, 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 very few heavyweights beat him. Very, very few, if potentially any. But with that being said, I believe there is a heavyweight that beats Tom Aspinall. And I believe that heavyweight that beats Tom Aspinall, this is somebody that I've hyped up way before it was cool to hype them up. I vividly remember saying that this person I remember saying that this person was going to fight Alex Pereira, and that Alex Pereira was going to have a massive fucking problem with this person's jabs. And I faced so much ridicule in the comment section, it wasn't funny. I got a comment literally saying it had 300 likes. It was like, Shay, you're a fucking idiot. Alex is not going to get jabbed once. He's only getting jabbed in these training clips because he's working on his defense, and you're an idiot. And then he got dropped by a jab out there, and Cyril Gahn is going at the very top of the honorable mentions. You know what, man? Listen, dude, listen. I, honest to God, think that there's a very good chance that he can beat Tom. I do. And in fact, I think that Tom Aspinall, I do not like the way he was fighting Cyril Gahn in the first fight. I didn't like it, man. I think he was getting fucked up. And a lot of people try to make it seem like that wasn't the case. A lot of people were like, that fight was actually closer than people think. Yeah, dude, it wasn't though, man. It wasn't. Like, Tom had landed a couple of grazing shots. He had one decent right hand. Cyril stumbled him, dude. Cyril fucking made him run face first into a jab and got fucking stumbled. So, yeah, but okay. Point is, though, I'm not ready yet to raise him higher. But another thing I will have to say, though, that actually kind of argues that he maybe should be a little bit higher, is it annoys me the amount of people who say that Alex Pereira was too big and too slow. A lot of people are like, oh, Alex should have moved down. Alex should have been 235 and he would have had a better chance. Dude, he did not look any slower to me than he had before. Like, Alex has always been a weight bully. Guys, Mia is 18. Let's go. She is well older than 18. Well older than 18. That was not the sister I was talking about. But anyway, right? Against Magomedov Ankalaev, Alex was a lot slower than him. Alex, really struggled there until he pressured him to the fence and just used his size advantage. Cyril Gane is probably the best athlete the heavyweight division's ever seen. Cyril Gane is probably the fastest heavyweight anyone's ever seen. Maybe Tom is it's tough to say. Alex did not look slow to me. Alex looked like he always looked. And I do not believe. Okay. At 185, maybe, but that's just different, dude. Like, yeah, dude, you know how skinny Alex got? Alex was like so frail down at 185. Of course he's going to look quicker there. Like, that's just crazy. Of course you are. If you're going to lose that much muscle, you're going to be a bit faster. But dude, I do not, when I watch Pereira versus Ankh 1, and then I watch Pereira versus Cyril Gane, I do not believe that he is significantly slower. I don't see it, man. I don't see it. And I know that he had a hurt left hand in that fight, but he was not sick, and he did not have rotavirus like people tried to make it seem like. I think Cyril Gane has a massive speed advantage, and that's why Alex really needed to find a way to pressure him. But that was always going to be a tough fight for him. But again, at 185, sure. But that's a pretty extreme example, man. But yeah, again, anyway, point is though, he looked really good for the first 4 minutes of this fight before the eye poke. I don't know if I'm ready yet. I don't know if I'm ready yet to rank him any higher than that as of right now. I'm not ready yet. Way too small. Mosvar was 23 and she was 17 when they dated. She was reportedly 14 when their families first got them to meet. Also, does Murphy versus Vallejos go? Okay. I thought he was 21 and she was 17. 23 and 17 is worse. It's worse. For sure. But it's still not... like, in fairness, dude, there are some U.S. states where 16 is the age of consent. I think that's kind of crazy. But, like, okay. Still, what Hamzat is doing is if it is true, I haven't watched the video yet, is horrible. 23 and 17 is worse than I thought, but it's still not the worst thing in the world compared to Hamzat, I guess. Murphy Vallejos. I don't know, man. I'm not an expert on Vallejos' style, but something tells me that Vallejos is going to win, and I don't know exactly what. I do not know exactly what. Anyway. Okay. I believe the 16th best fighter of all time is Arman Tsarukyan. Arman Tsarukyan moved down quite a bit since the last ranking that we did. The last time I ranked the top 17 best fighters ever, Arman Tsarukyan was much higher. Dude, I don't know, man. I just feel like Arman Tsarukyan's hype is a little bit higher than it's actually worth these days. That's what I think, man. I think that... I don't know, man. I think his wrestling and grappling overall is a absolute sight to behold. I think that Arman Tsarukyan, man, like, I think that, honestly, like, again, like, Tom Aspinall is somebody who I think that, again, he has, to me, some pretty blatant holes in his game that I think very few heavyweights can actually take advantage of. I think Arman has less. And I think Arman's grappling is truly world-class. However, with that being said, I think he's starting to get overhyped a little bit. I think that he's a little bit of a jacked hamster, which is good on the ground, but sometimes when it comes to closing the distance, I think he leaves himself a little open. I think Dan Hooker was jabbing him up a little bit, and Arman was not showing him any respect. I think he happens to match up pretty well to Oliveira in a number of ways, but outside of that, I think he sometimes leaves quite a bit to be desired when it comes to striking defense. I think his offensive striking's improved a lot. I think the Dan Hooker fight, he impressed me with how he was mixing up his weapons, that's what I really wanted to see from him. With how good of, with how Arman's kicking game is, I wanted to see him mix it up better. And I feel like he used to not do that. But I feel like he does that a lot better now. However, I still think he can improve a lot defensively, and I'm curious to see this fight against Hoofy. is when we should expect to see his striking defense really on display, because this is a fight where it really matters to have really good striking defense. But what I saw in his very last fight against Dan Hooker, I think he can improve a lot, man. I think he can improve a lot in that regard. Now, I think the 14th best fighter of all time, this one people might be a little about, but I've got to give him the pretty decent edge over Arman Tsarukyan, is I got to go Max Holloway, man. Now, again, Max Holloway did get embarrassed by Charles Oliveira. He did, right? He did. And I think that probably, out of every fighter on this list, Max Holloway's stock got the most affected out of any other fighter ever from a single fight. And the reason why Max's stock got affected so much is because we had never seen him fight a really high-level offensive grappler. We had never seen it. We saw him fight Volk, who Volk is a very good defensive grappler, but but offensively he's good, but he's not amazing. Outside of that, we had literally never seen him fight a really high level. We just never seen it, man. The first time he fought a super high level grappler, it was a complete shutout, man. He got destroyed. It was a complete shutout. He got daddied by Oliveira, and you know what I mean? And that was a big hit. But when you look at what he's accomplished over two divisions at 45 and at 55, he has beaten elite guys in both weight classes. I think that his striking game is elite. I think that his, distance management's elite. I think that, he did match up literally perfectly to Justin Gaethje, but still, I think that fight was very impressive. Again, it was tough. I honestly thought about putting Arman ahead of him, but I think Arman's just a little bit more unproven, And again, I don't think losing to Oliveira the way he did is it's not like Oliveira is an elite grappler, but again, Max Holloway was someone that used to be seen as elite, and I feel like because of that fight, we've kind of realized now against a lot of high-level grapplers, he never really stood a chance. Wait, doing it $20, $2. Shea Moser was 20 and she was 14 when it started. It's getting worse. Yeah, it's getting worse, man. It's getting worse, man. 14 is like you're literally a fucking baby. 14 years old, you're a baby. Dude, that's the fucking 8th grade, man. You're a middle schooler when you're 14. Yeah, it's getting worse, man. It's getting worse, dude. It's getting worse. It's getting worse. It's getting worse. All right, now the 17th, 16th, 15th, 17th, 16th, 15th, the 14th best fighter of all time. Can you guys guess who it is? I'm curious if you guys can guess. No, it's horrible. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, it's terrible. DC, Izzy, DDP, me, Izzy. Yeah, dude, what the fuck are you guys on about? What the fuck are you guys actually on about? No, the 14th best fighter of all time is 100% Conor McGregor. And listen, man. Listen, dude. Listen. It was kind of close between him and Max Holloway. It was kind of close. But here's what I have to say about Conor McGregor, dude. Conor McGregor, during his featherweight run, dude, listen, man, he does not get enough respect, in my opinion, from the Chad Mendes fight. He took that fight on 2 weeks' notice, blown fucking ACL. Chad Mendes, a much higher level offensive wrestler than Volkanovski, by far, dude. When Chad Mendes fought Volkanovski, Chad was taking him down. Now, obviously, again, Volk displayed some of his elite defensive grappling there. But again, Max Holloway, man, name a grappler to that level that he had fought. Name one. Name one. I think that Chad Mendes fight was super impressive. I think that's a very difficult stylistical matchup that Conor went up against there. I think that, the Jose Aldo fight, again, very, very impressive. I think that, Conor, dude, even like, I think the Eddie Alvarez fight, man. Eddie Alvarez is somebody who's known for having elite cardio. He's someone who's known as a very strong wrestler. He took down RDA twice. He's known for being able to push a crazy pace. And again, I understand the way he chose to wing overhands at Conor definitely, obviously Conor is gonna eat that alive. But I think, like, on paper, dude, that's not as easy of a matchup as people like to make it seem. And again, right, dude, fucking, like when Max Holloway's level of fighting a really high level grappler was Brian Ortega, who never shot a single fucking takedown against him. You know what I mean? Not to mention Conor did win 2 belts. Right? Fucking Max only won 1. I understand, accolades only matter when level of competition dictates that accolade's impressive. But again, like I said, I think the Eddie Alvarez fight's more impressive than people think. And I think that what he did at featherweight was I think he fought some very difficult stylistical matchups that Max never quite had to go up against. You know what I mean? So that's honest to God my opinion on that for sure. Now, you know what, man? Funny enough, when I was making this list, I didn't, I don't know. Maybe does this person actually deserve to be where he is? I didn't really think about it while I was making the list, but now that I'm looking at it, maybe I actually change my mind. Maybe I changed my mind. Okay, I'm changing something. Everybody is moving down 1 spot. No, you know what, man? I actually just realized I'm completely off on this one. Okay. We're changing it. It's top 16 now because there's somebody on here that just doesn't belong. This person that I had on here does not belong, and he's being moved into a honorable mention. And I don't think you guys can disagree with this one. Yeah, dude, Khamzat Chimaev does not belong in the top 17. Khamzat Chimaev does not belong there. I don't know what I was thinking having him where he was. He does not belong here, man. And there's no fucking chance of that. And let me tell you why he does not belong in top 17 anymore. Because again, we had seen time and time again through his career that it seemed like his cardio fell off a fucking cliff after the very first round. But then, of course, he goes out there against Robert Whittaker, a fluke happens, then everybody just kind of forgets. They just go, oh, dude, Khamzat's too good. Khamzat's unbeatable. Khamzat would have done that all 5 rounds. But then he fights DDP, and then DDP just happens to, again, have really bad defensive grappling, horrible defensive grappling. He's just too used to bench pressing guys. He doesn't have enough solid fundamentals built up defensively. So Khamzat wet blankets him all 5 rounds with 0 opposition. It's not going to gas him out. Then everybody thinks Khamzat's grappling is unbeatable. But then he fights Sean Strickland. The pace wasn't even that crazy. It was a high pace, but it wasn't that crazy. Strickland just kept working and kept moving and kept adjusting, and Khamzat's cardio fell off a cliff. Now, Khamzat's striking looked better than I thought it did, but now I think we look back at that Robert Whittaker fight and say if Robert Whittaker didn't have that fluke teeth injury, Khamzat would have absolutely slowed down because that pace was 1,000 times higher than the Khamzat pace, than the Strickland pace. It was. Khamzat was fucking moving like a rabid animal against Whittaker. He was not against Strickland, and he still gassed out. So, you know, he absolutely does not belong there, man. And I don't know how he slipped through the cuts. I don't know how he slipped through. They do say it was the weight cut, John Wings. But by the way, man, Khamzat Chimaev, this is like the 8th horrible weight cut he's had in his career, dude. At a certain point, we got to look at the common denominator here. Remember when he missed weight by 8 pounds against Nate Diaz? Now, he claimed that the commission came in and said, "Oh, you're done cutting weight. You're done. So, and they didn't let him cut the weight, apparently. But again, dude, like, why do you keep having such horrible weight cuts? You know what I mean? We got to look at the common denominator here. You know what I mean? You know? Anyway, God, now I'm looking at this next guy. Does this guy really belong at number 13? Does this guy really belong at number 13 now that I think about it? I know this list is super fucking put together very, very well. This list is put together very well, but I'm not 100% sure if he belongs here, actually. But I'm going to stick with it. It's Ngannou. It's Francis Ngannou, man. And again, right? He beat the fuck out of Stipe Miocic, who weighed the same weight as fucking Michael Morales. He weighed the same as Michael Morales. But then he fought Cyril Gane, and I genuinely believe that Cyril Gane fight was a bit of a robbery, and this was also pre-John Jones, so this was pre-Cyril Gane working on his grappling. I think Cyril got robbed, and this was before Cyril ever worked on his grappling. See, I don't even think that Stipe was necessarily washed, because remember, there was a 4-year gap between the second Ngannou fight and the Jones fight. Yeah, SDJFGK, da-da-da-da-da. Where in my criteria does it say that skills matter? Where does it say that? Okay, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing right there. Now, with that being said, though, I think like the Renan Ferreira fight was super impressive. I mean, okay, but now I'm kind of going back on that a little bit because, dude, Renan Ferreira is a good fighter. Francis Ngannou double-legged him and then knocked him out with 2 ground and pound shots. 2 ground and pound shots. And again, that is what I mean when I'm talking about skill, right? Because whenever I make a list like this, some people, they always say that. They go, okay, but you can't have a heavyweight on there with a flyweight because the flyweight's way more skill. But we're not talking about only skill. Your skill matters. But for example, right? A flyweight is going to have more skills than a heavyweight generally. But a heavyweight is going to have attributes that a flyweight can never fucking dream of. And again, Francis Ngannou was on top of Ferreira. He literally goes, and Ferreira's turtled. He goes 1, 2, and then Ferreira fucking is out with a fucking ground and pound shot. That is an attribute that goes into effectiveness. It has nothing to do with skill, but that is an attribute that is absolutely insane. And I think that is the thing. But yeah, also Kuniev did submit Renan Ferreira. Fuck it. Ngannou's going where he's going. Ngannou is going where he's going. Now, I promise the rest of this list is perfect. Despite me having to make those 2 changes, everything else is perfect, I promise. Next. Now, I feel like, I didn't have enough female representation in my last top 17 of all time list. I didn't. And, honestly, Erin T has been MIA for a long time now from streams. Maybe she's moved on, which I understand. She was watching for years. I get it. It's fine. But, like, you know what? In her memory, this is for her. I'm putting Amanda, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12. The 11th, I'm going Amanda Nunes, dude. I'm going Amanda Nunes, man. I think if we're talking about effectiveness as a fighter, I think that in general, yeah, sometimes her level of competition wasn't amazing sometimes, but like she did beat Valentina Shevchenko a bunch of times, and some of those fights were really close, but she did beat that. She did beat fucking Holly Holm. She head kicked her, which I think Holly Holm's a very good fighter. I think that like Amanda Nunes, the striking, the power, the grappling, she was a very good grappler. She has good submissions, dude. Remember that one fucking big ass fucking 145-pound bitch? I don't know why I called her a bitch. I don't know why I said that. I do not normally call women bitches. I don't know why I said that. But and then she fucking triangled her from the back, dude. Like Amanda Nunes was so well-rounded and so much power. Like, dude, her effectiveness is pretty fucking nuts. But let me tell, I know I don't think she's beating Piotr Jan, but again, that's not what we're fucking doing. Would JDM lose to Amanda Nunes? Now that's an interesting question. Yeah, Megan Anderson, thank you. I think Amanda Nunes beats Jack Della Maddalena. I think she does. I think the calf kicks. I think Jack's gonna get his calf eaten alive by Amanda. That's what I think, man. But I'll tell you what, Amanda is not as effective as the next person on this list. Not even close. Not even close, man. Not even close. Dricus du Plessis, the girth ball himself, dude. Dricus du Plessis, I think, is literally... Dude, Dricus du Plessis, man, I think that he is like the standard to strive for when you're talking about girth. He is the standard to strive for when you're talking about a man who is big and who is strong and who is jacked and who is big and who is juicy. You know what I mean? That he is the standard. He set the curve. Everybody else is below him. There is one issue I have with Dricus du Plessis, and that is the fact that his defensive grappling is so bad. It's bad. It's bad. And I get it. It's hard when you fought Hamzat, who did have elite takedowns and elite control. You know what I mean? But again, all you had to do, Dricus, was just make Hamzat work, and then he was gonna slow down a lot, dude. But you just didn't have any of the skills to really make it work, man. And it's a shame. That's really, really a shame. And if it wasn't for that, you'd be higher. But, dude, beating Israel Adesanya, beating Sean Strickland the way that you did, beating Robert Whittaker the way that you did, dude, like, his resume is crazy, man. And I think he's probably the greatest middleweight of all time. That's what I believe. But that loss just displayed a weakness in his game that was super, super significant, man. And that's, you know what I mean? That's a problem. It's a problem. Now, okay. The next guy I'm going to have on here, I wanted Dricus ahead of him. I did. I wanted Dricus ahead of him. But there's only one reason why this person is ahead of Dricus du Plessis. There's one reason. The person I have ahead of Dricus is John Jones. And again, I wanted Dricus ahead of him, but there's one reason why I had John ahead of Dricus. And that's because, I'll be honest, I think Israel Adesanya sucks. And I'm tired of tired of pretending like that's a fucking... I'm really tired of pretending like that's a hot take, dude. Israel Adesanya went to war with Kelvin Gastelum, and Kelvin Gastelum is dog shit. I wanted Dricus ahead of him. I did. I feel like John Jones' resume is horrible. Honestly, when you look back at his resume, it's terrible. I think Daniel Cormier, the most overrated fighter in UFC history, is his best win. Alexander Gustafsson's very solid. I don't think he's nearly as good as an Ankalaev, for example, but he's solid. He's well-rounded, but fucking, you know, he gave Daniel Cormier everything in that matchup by running away from him. Obviously, he gave John Jones a fucking hell of a fight the first fight, but the second fight, John did have a good game plan, but you know what I mean? Still, right? I think John's resume, aside from that, is horrible, and I wanted DDP ahead of him, except for the fact that I'm sorry, Adesanya sucks. And Adesanya is the luckiest fighter in UFC history because Adesanya finally gets the weaknesses that have always been in his game exposed, and everybody calls him washed. Adesanya is the only guy in UFC history that can be doing extremely well against Joe Pyfer, fucking cracks Joe Pyfer in round 1 and hurts him bad on the feet, and then makes the stupidest game plan decision a fighter has ever made, and then everybody just says, well, you're washed. Nobody actually, looks at what fucking happened. They just call you washed. And you know what I mean? I'm sorry, Adesanya's horrible. And, it wasn't the easiest fight for Dricus. And when I say he's horrible, I don't mean he's actually, I don't mean he's Paddy Pimblett or JDM bad. But I mean in terms of you're ranking him amongst his peers up here, he's horrible. So yeah, I'm going to give John the edge. I think John was a good fighter. I think he was a very good fighter. I think he's a very good grappler, good, decent submissions, really good ground and pound. I think his kick, I think John Jones from kicking range was a problem, was a big problem. But I think the thing about John Jones is, man, and I mentioned this yesterday in my video about it, was that John Jones, people always talk about Jones's fight IQ, probably the most overrated aspect, I think it's Daniel Cormier's wrestling ability and John Jones's IQ, so overrated. John Jones, dude, on paper, Dominic Reyes is very similar to Gustafsson, and John Jones, instead of literally figuring out the way, because here's the thing, John Jones went on Joe Rogan and talked about how he watches so much film. John Jones was telling Joe Rogan, I know where you're gonna shoot from. I know where guys like to set up their doubles. I know how they like to chain their singles. I know what parts of the octagon they like to stand in to make it happen. I know what strikes they like to throw here, there, and there. I know everything there is to know about these guys. I know them better than they know themselves. And then yet John Jones went out there against Dominic Reyes, who on paper is so similar to Gustafsson, and he made all the same mistakes he made in the first Gustafsson fight when he fought Reyes, and he lost because of it. And now I'm supposed to believe that this guy has insane fight IQ. He doesn't. That's the stupidest thing anyone's ever said ever. Next, I believe the 9th best fighter, if we're just purely looking at your abilities and your skill, and yes, what you accomplished. But again, what you accomplish is only impressive if the level of competition dictates that what you accomplish is impressive. And that's what holds John Jones back, but that is not what holds Charles Oliveira back. Now listen, right? Charles Oliveira, he had a very interesting change in his career from the very first Michael Chandler fight to, I would say, after he fought Arman. I believe that Oliveira got on steroids. I believe, in my opinion, Oliveira allegedly hopped on gear. And I think, because, dude, he was 30 years old when he fought Michael Chandler the first time. He was a grown man. But then by the time he fought Michael Chandler the second time, he was fucking ragdolling him. You know what I mean? I think he was probably on steroids, and I think that that's great. Right? I would hope so, right? Dude, there's, you know what I mean? There's a, you're fighting in the UFC, man. This is a big organization. There's a lot riding on this. I would hope that you're taking the right supplements. So I think that speaks to how good Charles Oliveira became. You know what I mean? Is the fact, dude, and it's funny, I brought this up before, but when I was debating Firas Zahabi, it completely went over my head. But Firas was insinuating that, and I didn't even realize. Because I was telling him about the girth. I was like, look at the first Michael Chandler fight, and then he added so much girth. And Firas kind of smiled. He's like, oh yeah? And why do you think that happened? How do you think? And I didn't realize he was insinuating that in the moment. I didn't realize it till after. But yeah, I would hope so, man. I would hope so. You know what I mean? I would hope he's on steroids, and I believe that he is. And I think that speaks to how good he is now. I think that, again, right, in terms of fight IQ, the Ilya Topuria fight was poor. However, name a fighter John Jones fought that is anywhere near the stratosphere of Ilya Topuria. I'll wait. Oh, Daniel Cormier, the most overrated fighter in UFC history? Okay. Oh, Cyril Gahn, the guy who, by the time he fought John Jones, literally had practically zero defensive grappling ability and said after the John Jones fight that I need to work on my grappling and I'm embarrassed and I can't believe someone did that to me. And then fucking, years later, at this point, now he's developed into a very good, well-rounded fighter. Oberich just said that Daniel Cormier mauls Ilia Topuria. I need the entire chat to flame the fuck out of him because that's the stupidest thing anyone's ever said. Daniel Cormier, horrible striking defense. Daniel Cormier would just waddle at you. If you don't believe me, dude, fucking the Weasel was glazing the fuck out of Daniel Cormier, and then we made a video talking about how much of an idiot the Weasel is. The Weasel then said, okay, I will go back and watch Daniel Cormier film, and then he came back and said, yeah, Daniel Cormier's ass, dude. Daniel Cormier waddles into strikes. He has no striking defense. Dude couldn't do jack shit against post leg break Anderson Silva on a week's notice and then got hurt with a body shot. Yeah, fuck out of here with that, man. Dude, Charles Oliveira's resume, man, to beat fucking Dustin Poirier the way he did, to rock and strangle Justin Gaethje, the Gamrot fight, the Max Holloway fight, dude. Compare Charles's resume and compare fucking John Jones's resume, dude. It's literally, you can't do it, man. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? What are you talking about? Like, the thing about John Jones is, again, like, the thing that holds Anderson Silva back is that all of his wins are from an era that was completely bygone, right? His era was fucking, like, dude, his prime was, like, fucking, at this point, like, fucking 2012, right? And John Jones masquerades as somebody who dominated that time and then still came back and became champion during the modern era. But then you realize he beat the most washed fighter the UFC had ever seen in Stipe Miocic, and again, he happened to fight the one guy in Cyril Gahn who on that night he matched up with perfectly. So, with all of that being said, you're wrong. You're wrong. Next. Now, this next guy that I'm going to have on here is somebody that would listen, I'll tell you, you know what? I'll just reveal him first and then we'll talk about it. Where am I? 11, 10, 9, 8. The 7th best fighter in UFC history. And I understand there might be some recency bias here. You know what I mean? I think because of this person's last fight, someone might be like, huh, why is this guy where he is? And let me tell you something, you can't allow recency bias to cloud your judgment, because the next guy is Alex Pereira. I know he lost to Cyril Gahn, but how fucking dare you judge a guy who literally started off in the UFC as a 185er. Now, I understand he was cutting so much weight to make 85, but someone is a fucking 185er, and then you judge him harshly for having the fucking balls to move up 2 weight classes to heavyweight, dude. Like, how can you, you cannot, that's insane, man. That's insane. Certain fighters get praised for being undefeated and being praised for being so dominant when they never, ever, ever would have dreamt moving up a weight class. But then somebody actually makes that decision, somebody takes the risk and does that, and it doesn't quite work out for them, and now all of a sudden, they're ranked lower because of that, because they took a risk that someone else didn't. So now you basically want the UFC to be like boxing. You want these fighters to be terrified of losing, because if you lose when trying to take a risk that somebody who people consider better than you never even thought about risking to take, now you're worse than them. And that's not a world that we should be living in. Okay? We should not be living in that world. All right? We shouldn't. And Alex Pereira, man, when you look at what he did at 185, Yuri Prochazka, man, I understand Yuri had the most embarrassing moment the UFC had ever seen against Carlos Ulberg. I know. But when you look at Yuri and you look at how devastating he is on the feet, how dangerous he is, and honestly, Yuri is very well-rounded. Yuri took down Glover Teixeira on top of subbing him, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, again, right? Yuri was a problem, and on the feet, he's a real knockout artist. Knocked out twice by Alex Pereira. Magomed Ankalaev, I'll tell you what, man. Fucking Magomed Ankalaev started doing Sambo at the age of 16. He's been grappling for 16 years. Really high-level boxer, amazing distance management. He's a very good grappler. Could not take Alex Pereira down. You know, Alex Pereira fought the worst fight he could have in that first Ankh fight. And that's you need context for all these matches, right? You need context. He fought the worst fight he could have. And he barely lost 3 rounds to 2. In the rematch, fucking knocks him out in the very, very first round, right? You know what I mean? I think that just what he was able to do at 185 and then 205. I mean, dude, when you factor all that in, man, I think he absolutely deserves to be where he is. Could Charles potentially be ranked ahead of him? Maybe, but I don't want to come across as biased. So I'm gonna have it where it is. Now, the next guy that I'm gonna rank here is somebody that I feel like I've turned around on a lot over the years. This is somebody that I used to hate a lot, and I don't really hate them anymore. And now I feel like I've actually grown to respect their skills and their ability. So, what I would say is the next guy. He would have been a dishonorable mention, but I'm going to bump him up to honorable mention, dude. He doesn't deserve to be in the top 17 or top 16. He doesn't. He absolutely does not deserve to be in the top 16. I'm going to bump him up to honorable mention. And dude, the last time I did this, again, there's a number of people who say, they go, how could Habib not make the list and Conor McGregor can make the list? That doesn't make any sense. And what I tell them is, no, you don't make any sense with that. Because again, right? If you advocate, and I'm telling you this right now, if you advocate for Habib to be ahead of Conor McGregor all time, you are advocating for the UFC to be like boxing, where fighters should take no risks. They should be terrified of losing. That's what you're advocating for, right? Like, no UFC fighter likes how boxing is. If you believe that he's ahead of Conor, that's what you want. You want fighters to take no risk. You want fighters to be so careful about their records because, again, Conor McGregor was a featherweight. Conor McGregor fought very difficult stylistical opponents at featherweight. That Chad Mendes fight on 2 weeks' notice with a blown ACL is a fucking tough ask to go through, right? Habib, for one, never fought a stylistical matchup. He never fought a difficult style matchup ever. He didn't. That didn't happen. The toughest matchup he ever had was Gleison Tibau, who he arguably lost to. That's probably the toughest fight stylistically because Gleison, was on a shit ton of steroids and was bigger than him back then, right? But then Conor McGregor, as a featherweight, moves up to 55. Conor was killing himself to make 45. So he moves up to 55 to fight somebody who was having kidney failure trying to make 55. Kidney failure. He was on the Lex Friedman podcast recently saying that he'd get up to 190 pounds. He'd be walking around 190. Conor was 170 walking around when he fought Habib. So he takes Habib 4 rounds and loses. And now all of a sudden, so now Conor takes a risk that Habib would never dream to take, and now he gets ranked higher. Like what again, you want the sport to be like boxing. Conor McGregor should have never taken any risk. He should have, when they offered him as a featherweight to fight Nate Diaz up at welterweight, Conor should have said, no, I can't do it because then I'll lose a fight, and then Habib, who never took any risk, would be ranked ahead of me, right? That's what you're advocating for. That is exactly what you're advocating for, if that's what you want. You know what I mean? So yeah, exactly what you're advocating for, right? And then, some people are saying, oh, well, Arman Sarukian. Dude, Arman Sarukian's fighting Charles Oliveira and winning, I think he should have lost, but that was a razor close fight. Charles Oliveira. That blows anything Habib had ever accomplished out of the water in terms of stylistical opponents. You know what I mean? Dude had the game plan at a very young age to go out there and try to scramble with Gamrot, the best scrambler in the entire division. And let's be real, that fight was a robbery. He should have beat Gamrot. That Habib never did anything like that, dude. You know what I mean? Again, when you fight a really stupid game plan and clearly lose like John Jones, that's 100% going to really affect your legacy. When, specifically for John Jones, you should have known because apparently you have the best fight IQ ever. You tell Joe Rogan about watching all this film, yet you still make these horrible decisions. But like in a case like that where, again, we all saw that fight. He got robbed against Gamrot and he fought the worst fight he could have. I mean, that's only impressive at that point. You know what I mean? So that's just what it is, man. And I don't think there's really a good argument otherwise. But anyway, moving on. 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. Number 6 is Alexandre Pantoja. Again, man, listen, I do just want to keep plugging this. Dom Low should be right now editing a really good video that I'm proud of about Pantoja versus Van. Maybe I've changed my opinion a little bit about this matchup. Maybe. I might have. But because that video's not out yet, I'm keeping it status quo with them too. But anyway, look, dude, Pantoja, man, I think that the thing I respect so much about Pantoja is that you guys, this is kind of blown over now. This is kind of old news. But when Pantoja was champion, right, not even that long ago, it seemed like every single champ in every single division was like, oh, they had one defense and they were like, give me a super fight. Let me move up. Let me fight this guy. Everybody was saying that. Dude, Pantoja was just like, hey, man, just fucking keep giving me contenders, man. I'm just going to keep running through these guys. And, dude, you know what, man? He fucking did that, man. Dude, you look at Pantoja's resume and his record, man. Fucking smashes Moreno. Fucking, and dude, even, here's the thing, man. People might laugh at this, but I want you to go back and watch his fight with Kai Asakura. I know that Kai Asakura got subbed by Tim Elliott, and it's really embarrassing. But, dude, Kai Asakura was fucking huge, and he was actually a really sharp striker. Really sharp, really fast striker. And, dude, Pantoja just walking through his strikes and smashing him. Very, very impressive. You know what I mean? Again, Steve Ercik, I know that Steve Ercik hasn't aged the best because he very specifically has tall man syndrome and he backs up in a straight line like this and he's very susceptible to overhands. But Steve Ercik, super slick boxer from space and a really high-level grappler. Really, really high-level grappler. Like, before he came into the UFC, Ercik was 100% a grappler through and through. That's not an easy matchup for Pantoja. And Pantoja, I used to think that fight was a little bit more of a robbery than I do now. Watching back, I think it was a much closer fight. And dude, I think, yeah, Pantoja's record, his resume, the Kai Kara France fight. I'm even forgetting some of the other ones on there. Dude, he beat Manuel Cape way back in the day, man. With honestly a pretty good game plan. Just kind of spammed kicks. He pressured very intelligently, beat Manuel Cape. Again, he beat Moreno twice. The only guy that he couldn't beat that stacked up so well against him was Figueiredo because of Figueiredo's power. But, again, like, he got robbed against Askarov, who was the undefeated Dagestani grappler. He got completely robbed in that fight, hitting some of the craziest back kicks I've ever seen. He's a serious, serious, serious problem, man. He is. He's a serious problem. Now, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Oops, okay. He's number 6. Now, the next one, man, I kind of had trouble placing these guys a little bit. I had trouble placing them a little bit. In fact, I think these next 3 guys... God, it's tough, man. I think you can really argue where their placements should be, and I'm not 100% sure. I think either 3 of these guys you can really mix and match and flip them. God, I'm even looking at this now like, man, did I make the right decision? Like, I know these 3 guys deserve to be here, but just where you want to place them, you can go either way. Hold on. Shit, I'm missing somebody. Hold on. Holy fuck. I'm missing somebody. Oh fuck. No wonder my math was off on this number. I forgot to add somebody. Shit. Okay. I fixed it. Okay, it's going back to top 17. It's going back to top 17. It's going back to top 17. That was poor. No, I had Marab. I forgot somebody else. Okay. Number 5, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna give it to Marab. I'm gonna give number 5 to Marab. I think that, listen, he did lose every single round to Petr Yan, in my opinion. In my opinion, I do not believe he won a round off Petr. Again, Daniel Cormier, if you believe him to be intelligent, you may think that Daniel Cormier, because he swore up and down that was a razor close fight. But it wasn't. I don't think he won a single round. But but again, like Merab, he's an attribute merchant through and through. He's an attribute merchant. But man, those attributes are fucking tough to deal with. He was getting beat the fuck up by Piotr. He ate like 3 clean liver shots and he just stayed in there. And again, right, I think it was a close, even though it was 50-45, it was a close fight. I mean, just Merab stayed in there the whole time. Merab stayed in there. Oh shit, dude, I'm missing somebody else too. Somebody in chat just reminded me I'm missing somebody else, aren't I? Someone was just named in chat where I was like, "Oh wait, why aren't they on here?" Okay, well, I'll finish with Merab and I'll get him in here. Forgot more Moicano. Yeah, dude, fucking Moicano. But yeah, dude, I mean, but he stayed in there with Piotr the whole time. He pushed a pace, he kept going after him. And dude, that's so impressive. And you look at who he was able to beat in the UFC, right? Fucking Henry Cejudo, fucking Sean O'Malley twice, who that win is kind of starting to become less impressive. Almost knocked the fuck out of Corey Sandhagen and beat him. He did beat Piotr with a hurt left hand. Dude, like, I don't think there's ever been a fighter in the UFC, I mean, even more so than DDP, who has the attributes of Merab. Merab has the best fucking attributes I've ever seen, and it's such a fucking problem. It really took a complete and absolute savant in Piotr Yan to actually fucking, for someone to finally beat him. And again, right, like, it is clear as day now, dude. If you watch the very first fight between Piotr and Merab, Piotr was not throwing his right hand. And he said that, he goes, I had a hurt right hand. He didn't throw his right hand at all. And that's crazy because Piotr Yan is not somebody who's known for a ton of power. He's not somebody who's like, you know, who has great footwork. He's not somebody who moves that well. To literally go into that fight without your right hand is absolutely insane. And then, of course, in the rematch, right, that was a huge difference maker. But Piotr Yan, I think, probably has the deepest bag in all of the UFC. I really think, but again, as of right now, I feel like he's added a lot of girth. And I think that is absolutely a massive problem against somebody like Sean O'Malley, for example. But, like, you know, but during their first fight, there are a lot of tendencies that Piotr has. I think someone like Sean O'Malley can take advantage of. You know, how stationary he is, that high guard, the ducking his head. You know what I mean? But I think with that added size that he's put on, I think that's a really big problem for somebody like Sean O'Malley. I really, really do. But with that being said, you know, again, that is what fighting comes down to. It's all about how you stylistically match up to certain people. So just because you happen to run into somebody who matches up to you pretty well isn't going to hurt you that bad unless there's more important context there. You know what I mean? So he is where he is now. Yeah, there's somebody who definitely fucking needs to be on here that I completely forgot to add. Oh, I already have him on. I didn't need to. Okay. I've got him. I've got him. Let me just add him in. Okay. So yeah, it kind of spoils a surprise. But yeah, I didn't have Sean Strickland on here. And I feel like you kind of need Sean Strickland. But where does he belong? Ngannou? Yeah. But he lost to DDP twice. And he has given up some split decisions. But I can't have him ahead of John if I don't have DDP ahead of John. I think he's better than Armin. Connor's always tough to rank because like his career was so specific. Like the thing that I think is the hardest thing about Connor is that like very quickly he became such a massive star so fast that like he just couldn't get regular fights anymore, man. You know what I mean? Like remember when he initially retired because he literally just couldn't get fights because the UFC had to build these massive events around him. If Connor wasn't as big of a star, I feel like he would have 100% been more active, like a kind of around that like Cowboy Cerrone era, you know? And I think that's you know what I mean? So it's hard because like I feel like, you know, Sean's done more, but then again, like how much of that is but he you know what? I'm gonna rank him ahead of Armin behind Max. I don't know, man. That just feels right to me. Keep anything with the $5. 3 more spots, and you have yet to name Islam, Ilya, Vulcan, GSP. Well, hey, man. Yeah, I haven't. That's true. You just named a fact. You just named a fact. Like I said yesterday. Yeah, no, that is true. Pros. So that is gonna hold him back on my list for sure. I agree with you. Yeah, like I said, I made a video yesterday, you know, about the GOATs, right? And I feel like because of that video, I learned a lot about what it means to be a GOAT, and I've learned that, and now I understand it better. And now, because of that, changes have been made. You know? Changes have been made. Let me see. 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. So we have 3 spots left. We have 3 spots next. So the next guy we're going to talk about here, man. My camera's getting all fucking janky. The next guy we're going to talk about, dude. The next guy who I think is somebody that there was a ton of recency bias with, who, you know, people used to really think that he was all that, but he's not all that, man. He's not all that. This person I would have ranked top 3 back in the day, but he is not going to be top 3 anymore. In fact, he doesn't make the top 17 anymore. And I think you guys know who I'm talking about here. That person that I am talking about I am loving this. I am loving this, actually. I'm having a great time right now. It's Ngan. It was going down because I realized I miscounted. So, hold on. 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12. Okay. So, Nunes is going down 1. And Pantoja's going down 1. Yeah, I miscounted. I just didn't even realize. No, no, I didn't realize. So I'm going to have God, do I put this guy at number 4 or do I put him at number 6? Those are like the only two options for me. I either put him at number 4 or I put him at number 6. Okay, I'm putting him at number 4. I'm putting Ilya at number 4. It was either number 4 or number 6, but I'm going to put him number 4. Dude, okay, here's the thing, and I guess this is a good time to add Keith Peterson's donation here. God, chat was moving fast. Never mind, I missed it. Where is it? How did I scroll past it? There it is. So Keith Peterson asks, thank you for the $5, buddy. Do you think Ilya's resume could end up being viewed like Khabib's if he loses again? In hindsight, Volk, Max, and Charles are quite favorable matchups. So, I mean, dude, here's the thing. I don't think that Volk, Max, and Charles are nearly as favorable as Khabib's matchups were. I really don't think so. But I do see what you're saying. I think the thing about Volk and Max down at featherweight is they're both volume guys. They're both volume guys who don't have a ton of finishing ability, who want to, land a lot of volume on you. And Ilya is just that fucking sniper. You know what I mean? Who has a ton of power, who's a sniper. You know what I mean? He's a fucking serious problem to not get knocked out by. Now, I think Volk in particular has had a problem with getting cracked cleanly in his career. He always has. Volk has had an issue. Volk is somebody who, his chin is like fucking, your standard fucking sorority slut. You know what I mean? Like, it's been around, man. Everybody has gotten a piece of Volk's chin, dude. Everybody has, right? Like, that thing you don't got to work too hard for that, man. Everybody's gotten a piece of rocking Volkanovski, right? Islam got a piece of that. Fucking Chad Mendez got a piece of that. Max Holloway got a piece of that. Diego Lopez got a piece of that twice. You know what I mean? So yeah. Now Max Holloway is somebody who fucking does not get knocked out, right? Dude, who the fuck's knocked out fucking Max Holloway? So I think that's very impressive. I think Charles Oliveira on paper poses some very scary prospects to Ilya, except for the fact that he tried to fucking rush at him into the pocket, you know what I mean, and try to trade with him. So I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. I do. But I still think that those wins are still very, very impressive in their own kind of different ways. You know what I mean? But like, maybe, right? And the reason why I decided to go with number 4 is because, again, right, Ilya Topuria is somebody that had so much aura that, here's the thing, dude, you know what? I have a fucking hot take. I've got a fucking hot take, and everybody listen to this. What you see from so many people online right now, especially Reddit. Anytime you see anybody discuss on Reddit Ilya versus Justin Gaethje, do you know what you're going to see them say? What they're going to say is, it's like, yeah, man, Ilya thought that he was unbeatable, man. He was too confident. Ilya thought that he was unbeatable, and that's why he lost, because he didn't respect Gaethje and he thought that he was unbeatable. That's not true, dude. It's not true. The truth is, we all thought that Ilya was unbeatable. That's the fact of the matter. It's not that Ilya thought he was unbeatable. You thought he was unbeatable. You were not counting like what somebody could do to him. You were not looking at his style and actually, gauging what his weaknesses were. Because the truth is, man, again, I made a whole video about how Gaethje would beat Ilya Topuria, right? Gaethje actually happens to match up extremely well with Ilya Topuria. Extremely well. Ilya Topuria looked really small in there, man. He did. Ilya Topuria is 5'6". He's one of those, like, he's like Conor over the time has definitely packed on a lot of muscle. But when he first moved up from featherweight to 55, he was not a big guy. Ilya looked tiny in there, man. And again, I don't want to judge Ilya extremely harshly because he was a featherweight who chose to move up. You know what I mean? I don't want to judge him super harshly for that. But, again, right? Gaethje, I actually think, really did match up very well against him. And dude, the truth is, man, I've gone back and I've watched it a few times, dude, and it really is true. Dude, if Ilya landed that body shot and then walked away with his hands up, that's a victory, dude. Because, dude, Gaethje, you see it, man. He gets clipped with that fucking body shot, and he's literally like, oh, and he just stumbles over. Like, if you've ever been hit with a liver shot, it's so weird how it just, like, fucking shuts your body off. You know, you can't fucking move. If Ilya just backed up and was like, stand up, that fight's over. Still, he lost. Don't get me wrong. He lost for the reasons we talked about, but he still made that fight really close, despite being so small. You know what I mean? I think, like, in terms of effectiveness, I think Ilya, there was a time where I will still stand by this, Ilya's grappling was very overrated. I think that Ilya is a very good grappler. I do. I think he's very good. But there was a time, like I vividly remember somebody donated asking, who wins between Ilya or Hoofy? And I was like, dude, that's actually a really interesting fight. And I was kind of like breaking it down on the feet. And I was like, Hoofy likes to do this. And Ilya's got to be careful closing the distance here, and here, and da-da-da. And then I just saw chat. There was like 9 people going, dude, what's stopping Ilya from just doing what Benoit Saint-Denis did? Like, yeah, Ilya will just magically go out there and double leg him and strangle him. And I was like, yeah, what's going to stop him from doing that? Maybe not being Benoit Saint-Denis. Maybe that's why. Like, everybody just thought that Ilya would just magically win by submission because, again, for no reason. Like, what fight has Ilya had? Again, he submitted Bryce Mitchell after rocking him really badly. He tried to submit Yusuf Zalal and couldn't do it. And then all of a sudden it was just magically he submits anybody you put in front of him. And that was stupid, right? It was stupid. That was dumb, right? But I still think his grappling is good. I think his wrestling is very solid. I think his takedown defense is generally very good. I think he's a very well-rounded fighter. I think that offensively he's a serious fucking problem, obviously. You know what I mean? And yeah, again, my biggest thing is I don't want to judge him super harshly because he has a featherweight moved up and had a very difficult stylistical opponent. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm at with him. Way too small. Name the $10, buddy. Aljo should be up here considering he beat TJ Yan. Second fight, Cejudo, Corey, Zalal, Henan Barra, Rivera, and Mizugaki. Cruz got a title shot win off of him. Same style at bantamweight and featherweight should matter per criteria. Yeah, I hear ya. You know, how much do I really favor or rate Aljo's win against TJ Dillashaw, though, man? TJ Dillashaw went in there and fucking knew that his shoulder was gonna dislocate, and he went in there anyway. Like, that fight was borderline fraudulent, right? And it is kind of a shame because nobody respects it when somebody pulls out due to injury. Like, nobody really respects it. You know, fighters don't respect it. If someone pulls out because they're injured, everybody fucking gets mad at you. But, like, at a certain point, man, TJ Dillashaw went out there. Hundreds of thousands of people bought that pay-per-view. People spent, you know, that gate was probably millions of dollars worth for tickets to go there. TJ Dillashaw showed up and collected a fat fucking paycheck. Even though he just was literally, that's fraudulent, dude. He was going in there with a dislocated shoulder. There was no way he was ever winning. So I don't know how much I favor beating TJ. He did beat 38-year-old Henry Cejudo by split decision. I hear ya. He did beat Zalal, I think, at 45. I think he's been very impressive at 45. I think he's been very, very impressive. I was very impressed with how well he did against Mosvar. I thought he was going to get destroyed. I was kind of worried for him initially moving up to featherweight because he was a guy that was massive for the weight class and he was cutting an insane amount of weight, but it wasn't like his cardio was shit. Like, his cardio was good. Like, he'd be able to fight for 5 rounds. You know what I mean? It didn't seem like it. And so for me, right, he's not super athletic. He's not super explosive. I was worried about him giving up that extra size, but then he went up to featherweight and is really fucking good. So I hear ya. I just don't know if he quite, I don't know, man. Maybe he can be kind of up here, maybe. He would 100% be an honorable mention. I hear your argument. I have some of my own kind of key takeaways from there a little bit, you know? Storytime Library Fun. Thank you for the $5. Islam needs to move down to lightweight. Him and JDM, they are not welterweights. They are lightweights. They are too small, and Islam will lose soon. Maybe. I really think Carlos Prates is a much scarier fight than people think, and a big part of that is because Mean Big 8 convinced me that he is. I think Carlos Prates is a scary fight. I think Prates is a very scary fight because you can't slow down with him. Like, getting tired against Ian Gary is not ideal, but getting tired against Prates and starting to stand kind of stationary against him is a fucking death sentence, dude. And I think Prates has very sharp takedown defense. I think Ian Gary has better overall grappling defense, but Prates' length, like if you're specifically looking at the type of takedown that Islam was going for against Gary, when you look at how Prates deals with that exact same takedown, his arms are so long, he literally wraps completely around your back leg to anchor himself up. Yeah, it's kind of a problem, and if he can make Islam work and Islam starts getting tired, that's a really scary fight. So yeah, dude. I mean, maybe I don't know though, man. I don't know if he can go back down to 155 though. It'd be a really brutal cut. And also, too, here's the thing. There's a lot of talk about Islam being 182 pounds. I don't buy that shit as far as I could fucking throw it, by the way. Because dude, Javier Mendez, his own coach, says that Islam has gained 11 pounds since the JDM fight. Islam goes out there, frankly, looks very strong. He looks very strong. He looks very good. But because it is up at welterweight and he is fighting for the first time a real welterweight, it's harder to control Ian Gary. He does a very good job, but Ian Gary still is like kind of getting back up. He's making it hard. He's tripoding, and then all of a sudden, magically after the fight, he's actually lost a bunch of weight from the JDM fight. He lost a bunch of weight. He was 189 against JDM. You're telling me he just lost 7 pounds? Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I don't know for a fact, but I just find that a little interesting. You know what I mean? And everyone's taking it as gospel. I don't know about that, man. We do not have any fight night weights of him. So I think until we see that is when we could actually like start really questioning that better. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, again, Islam says he has 3 more hard fights. That's a lot, man. How about you just defend the belt? Let's fight Prates and get the fuck out of there, dude. Listen, I want him to keep fighting because he's good to make videos off of. You know what I mean? But yeah, I understand what you're saying. I know Islam said he was lighter. That's literally what my problem is that Islam just said that. We had heard otherwise right before the fight. We had heard otherwise. He goes in there, doesn't look any smaller, looks really strong, but because this was the first time he fought a real welterweight, he actually kind of struggled holding him down a little bit more, and now all of a sudden, magically, he lost a bunch of weight. Like, okay, all right. Anyway, number 3. This was tough. Again, I think you could interchange these two and the next guy. I have no problem if you have Piotr ahead, but the problem is Piotr lost to Aljo and Sean O'Malley fair and square, so that's a little hard. Yeah, kind of. But I have Volkanovski as number 3. I think it's tough, man, because again, Volkanovski's chin is like a fucking 19-year-old girl with daddy issues on spring break, man. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna keep saying that, dude. Everybody's got a piece of fucking Volk's chin, dude. Everybody has. But with that being said, man, Volkanovski, I think when you look at his record and everything he's accomplished all around, man, like, yeah, it's pretty nuts, dude. It's pretty nuts. It's pretty nuts, man. Max Holloway 3 times. That very first Islam fight was super impressive, even though he lost. I was really worried about him in the first Diego Lopez fight. And I drew up a very safe game plan for Volkanovski against Diego Lopez, and he did it very well in the first round. Then the rest of the fight, he just fucking went out there and fucking banged with Diego Lopez. And yeah, he got dropped really bad, but like he still fucking won. He even got dropped in the second Diego Lopez fight, but he still looked really, really good. And man, just when you look at everything, man, everything that he's accomplished, it's crazy, dude. It's crazy. He leaves himself a little bit open defensively, but dude, he beat Jose Aldo, he beat Chad Mendez. Those are really high level older school featherweights. He beat those guys, and then comes up and beats all the modern day featherweights to accept fucking Ilia Topuria. I mean, there's so much, man. There's so much. There is so much, man. There's so much there. But, I think there are some things that holds him back compared to who I personally have at number 2. Aaron Trade, remember, a similar criteria would be the fighter then loses to the least fighters in their divisions based on the skill they displayed in their fights. That's a way you can look at it, yeah. That's a way you can look at it. For sure. Definitely. But guys, with all this being said, man, as much as I wish I could say otherwise here, dude, as much as I can wish I can say otherwise, I think this guy's better than Volkanovski. I think he has less weaknesses. I think that he arguably fought it's tough, man, because when I look at some of the harder stylistical fights that he had, I think Ilya is probably one of the tougher stylistical fights that Volk has ever had, and he got knocked the fuck out. You know what I mean? I think this guy has fought harder stylistical fights. I think it is George St. Pierre, dude. I think it's him, and obviously that there's no surprise. It is Islam number 1 then, of course. But I think that GSP, man, I think he does have a fair amount of wins that are some older heads for sure. But again, I think the most impressive thing about George St. Pierre is the fact that GSP was a 55er based on today's standards. He would start his water cut at 185 to get down to 170. Fucking Renato Moicano is 181 walking around. He's a 55er. He fought the first real welterweight ever in Johnny Hendricks. Johnny Hendricks, when he was fighting at welterweight, would get up to 220 outside of camp. 220. When USADA came, all of a sudden Hendricks couldn't make welterweight anymore. Dude, Hendricks was a really high-level wrestler. You go back and watch Johnny Hendricks versus GSP, it was so apparent how much bigger Hendricks was. GSP was cracking him, and Hendricks was just walking through every single punch. And then Hendricks would land, and GSP would be put on skates. And he looked so much stronger than George. George was still getting in takedowns, though I honest to God think that fight was closer than people think. I think the thing about that fight was Hendricks could have easily won. Don't get me wrong. He could have easily won. But there were just moments in that fight where Hendricks had some big moments, right? Like, here's the thing. I think the Hendricks GSP fight has similarities to Sean O'Malley versus Petr Yan. Sean O'Malley and Petr Yan was a very close fight, but a lot of people call it a robbery because the biggest moments of that fight, they both had big moments, but like the biggest moment was Petr cracking him really badly. The biggest moment by far was Sean getting fucking creamed with that shot. So it's hard. When you have a really close fight, but somebody had a really big moment, it's hard. And I think it's similar to that, to GSP Hendricks. I think that fight, again, was a lot closer than people think, but GSP did get wobbled pretty bad at one moment. But apart from that, man, to be a 55er, fighting a real fucking steroided out welterweight, I think GSP was also on steroids. It doesn't matter. He was giving up so much size and strength. And I think that fight was only impressive. You know what I mean? Michael Bisping, yeah, it was definitely not it was probably the easiest double champ fight he could have physically had, for sure. But dude, he fucking fought at 205, man. Michael Bisping is somebody, he's got cardio for days. He was a good striker. Michael Bisping boxed Anderson Silva's face off. And I understand this was Anderson post leg break, but he wasn't, this is well before, he was washed. You know what I mean? He fucking boxed his face off. Like, I don't think it's the worst fucking least impressive win in the world. And I think that that's something GSP or is, you know what I mean? I think that's something that Volkanovski was never able to accomplish. I think it's close, but then you look at the skills that GSP had. GSP was an elite athlete. Dude, his takedowns were so explosive. He's throwing fucking spinning wheel kicks. When he went to work with Freddie Roach and then came back with that fucking jab, like, dude, he fucking really had it all. In fact, again, right, I honestly think if you were to match make GSP Islam, I give the slight edge to GSP because I think they're both the most well-rounded fighters in history. I think GSP's striking defense was a little at times. Again, it wasn't a massive weakness, but like there have been a few times he's been cracked and hurt through his career. Islam, there's been very few times he's been cracked and been hurt. Very, very few times. But I don't think Islam's the kind of guy to really take advantage of that. I think they're both so well-rounded. I think GSP is a little bit more, he's more explosive. His takedowns are more explosive. He's a better athlete. He can throw a slightly higher range of stuff. I think it's a close fight. But I do kind of favor him specifically matching up against Islam. But with that all being said, if we're just looking at them as a whole and how they match up to the wider entirety of the UFC, again, JDM is an easier double champ fight than Michael Bisping was. He was, for sure. But then to go out there and beat Ian Gary, to go out there and fucking head kick Ian Gary's head off pretty much, and then fucking, not, you know what I mean. He landed that head kick and the grappling, like, that blows away anything that GSP did up at 185 pretty much. And it's the perfect equivalence. You know what I mean? They both went up 15-pound weight classes. I think Islam is him, man. Islam does not have a weakness. The grappling, the wrestling, the judo, the striking, the boxing, the head kicks, dude. Like defensively, I think he's better than GSP is. You know, it's so close. But like GSP, I think just Islam's him, dude. He's him, man. He's him. He's the greatest. It's him. He's him, man. And, you know, obviously, I think the other thing that holds GSP back is I do think overall Islam has fought the better guys overall, for sure. I think GSP has fought some really good guys, but Islam has fought more, for sure. So that's what I got, man. That's what I got, dude. That's what I got. And I don't, you guys cannot lie, man. This is quite a GOAT list right here, man. Come on. Don't even lie, man. I killed it. Don't lie. I know I did. You guys can save your applause for later. This is a really solid GOAT list. Thank you, Winter Wastaken 786. Lucas Tracy does not make better lists. This is the best list, man. DJ wasn't an honorable mention. He was a dishonorable mention because the dude has horrible takes. JDM, I think, is the worst modern champion in history. Way $22. Healthy Shavkat beats GSP and Islam. Guys, don't lie. Did Shavkat being in the thumbnail kind of get you a little bit? That's why I put him in there, just to kind of be like, because I feel like he's somebody that you would be like, oh yeah, I mean, skill for skill, yeah, like he probably could be, but he's hurt. He's not there anymore. Like, he's not an active fighter, so I didn't want to throw him in here. You know what I mean? Not that you have to be. You know what I mean, man. I feel like his career was cut short. Yeah, JDM had a 22 fight win streak against fucking dog shit. But hopefully Shavkat can come back, and then I think he can probably make this list. Oh, meme Big 8. Who was the harder fight for Islam? Prime, GSP, or Healthy Shavkat? Those are the only guys I ever heard you straight up you say to favor to beat Islam. I think Shavkat's the harder fight only because like GSP is at least the same exact size as Islam. I don't know, man. I think fucking 6'2" fucking Shavkat, who's big and tall and long. I guess the only okay. I guess maybe why I might actually change my mind on that. I've never seen someone try to take down Shavkat. I've literally never seen someone try. I've never seen it. We have no example of someone trying to take down Shavkat. I don't think anyone's attempted a takedown on Shavkat in the UFC. Now, if Shavkat comes back with his blown out knee and gets taken down, I feel like I don't know if that's Shavkat at his best or if that's Shavkat with a bum leg. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Whereas, dude, GSP has had some of the most athletic takedown defense I've ever seen. Like against really good wrestlers, getting deep on shots, and GSP having some fucking phenomenally athletic takedown defense. I love people joining the stream late and asking me questions. Like, dude, I said it at the. You just got to rewatch the stream, man. I every single person I put here, I had something to say about them. Oh, but then Shavkat's got that guillotine, dude. Shavkat's got a nasty. He's finished multiple guys with a guillotine, so that could be something, man. That could be something. But it's a good question. But I'm gonna go GSP for that reason. I'm gonna go GSP. I think I've seen way better takedown defense from him. Well, Ian Gary got to his back off a failed takedown. I don't really consider it the same. But yeah, man. But Way $20 Shavka's taller than Ian, 6'4" plus same reach as CP. I don't think Ian. I think they're about the same height, and I don't think Ian is quite 6'3". I think he's probably a little over 6'2", if I had to take a wild guess. Ian max, I think, is like 6'2.5". And I think Shavkat's about the same height. That's what I'd say, man. That's what I would say. Guys, what was that video you were telling me about Hamzat being a pedophile and marrying that 14-year-old? Who was giving me the scoop on that? What video should we watch about that? So I'll do it probably maybe we'll do that stream tomorrow. Who made the video? I know Steve was telling me about that. I think Way Too Smoky was telling me about that. Mad Moza. Okay. I mean, while I'm here, I'm not going to watch it right now, but let me just see if I can even find it. Damn, 126,000 views. All right. Damn, 242,000 views. All right, cool. This will be fun to do tomorrow. Carlos Conte is in with the $5. Shay, what do you think of the Prates has zero wrestling, so him versus Islam is not interesting at all narrative? Yeah, that's fucking stupid. I mean, he literally, Prates has shown really good wrestling defense. Against Ian Gary, he showed really good defense. Leon Edwards did take him down, but dude, Leon Edwards, man. Okay, Leon Edwards is very underrated. He, officially, Leon Edwards is a super, super underrated. Leon Edwards very specifically has a really big problem when it comes to guys closing the distance and getting into boxing range against him. When guys get in his face and pepper him up, his footwork's not that good, his boxing's not amazing, so he ends up kind of shelling up and leaving his hips wide open, and And yeah, obviously Bilal and Sean Brady both just perfectly took advantage of that. And now everybody thinks that he sucks. He's a terrible grappler. First of all, Sean Brady's grappling is fucking super high level. So when he was taking Leon down, he was a massive problem. But you know, that is why he got eaten alive in those matchups. But dude, he's such a good grappler, man. Took down Usman, took his back. I know he reversed Bilal and took him down and took his back. He's so fucking good. And I think he showed really good wrestling against Prates. Prates' defense is good. You need to find a way to pressure Prates so he can't use his length. But Prates, dude, when Ian Gary was trying to shoot the exact same takedowns on Prates that Islam was shooting on him. And, you know, Gary kept trying to stuff the back leg and beat the shoulder to get around him. And he did it once, but he kind of struggled. But when Ian Gary would shoot that same, like, low, that like, head outside single, dude, Prates' arms were so long that he would fully reach and just hook onto the back of Ian Gary's leg, and now all of a sudden he was just anchored to him and he couldn't be taken down. I mean, you know, obviously I do think Islam would take him down at a point, but could Islam finish him? I don't know. In fact, like, that's another thing that I hate that gets thrown around way too much, and it gets thrown around specifically with guys like Islam and guys like Hamzat, where they just kind of magically go like, oh yeah, by submission. Like, dude, against Ian Gary, so many people were like, oh, Islam by sub, Islam by sub. Islam has very good subs. He has better subs than Hamzat, way better subs. But a lot of these guys, they'll sub a bunch of cans as they're coming up, and then all of a sudden they think that they're just gonna submit every single world-class fighter. Dude, like, it's like, no, dude, no. Like, I don't know, man. I think Islam's pure submission game is very good, but, like, I think, like, what? I don't think he has a great rear naked choke. I think he's got a very good Darce. I mean, he's got a great arm triangle, but the only time he really hit it was against fucking Drew Dober, or when he rocked Charles. And I think, like, when he got Ian Gary to the front headlock, Ian Gary just literally tucked both of his arms like this, so there was no Darce. So it's hard, right? Like, I think Islam does have some subs that are really good, but just like to magically just say, he'll sub. He'll sub. It's like, I don't know, man. I don't think he will sub Prates. And I think the thing about Prates is, if Islam starts grappling him and he starts getting tired and he starts kind of slowing down a little bit, Prates is fucking dangerous. You know, Ian Gary is not as dangerous. That's the thing about Prates. Easy E, thank you for choice. Where the fuck is Gilbert Burns? He retired and he's doing UFC BJJ now. He lost to Mike Mallet and retired, and he's now grappling full time, which is good. That's good for him. He's still getting paid and he's doing something he likes, which is cool. Colt getting $7. How does Brady versus Bonfim go? Bonfim doesn't do super well against tall people. Brady doesn't do well against tall people. Bonfim also has really good BJJ and better striking. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm worried because I just think Brady is such a tank, but he doesn't close distance super well. So I'd be just worried about him getting on the inside and actually getting to Bonfim's legs. He's just not the quickest, most explosive guy. He doesn't move that well, you know? It kind of scares me a little bit. If Brady was more explosive, he'd be a problem. Carlos Conthus, you were limited to a member. It shocks me when people have never looked up the scoring criteria. I feel like a nerd every time I quote it. Well, it's the thing, man. Like, here's the thing. Like, okay, you know, here's the thing, man. Right? I'm a fucking huge basketball fan, right? That's the other sport that I love. I'm a diehard Laker fan. I've never fucking looked up the fucking rules of, look, fighting's a little different because scoring is such a huge thing, and it's, you know what I mean? So it's a little different, but like, I get it. Like, I'm never gonna fucking start Googling the very specific rules of basketball. You know, I'm not gonna do it. I don't expect every fan to Google it and look at it, but what I expect is the creators, the people whose job it is to make this content, for example, the Mighty Mouses of the world, who, you know, are looked at as authority figures when it comes to analysis and things like that. I expect those people to just share what the fucking truth is, and they don't do it. Right? So I felt like for the longest time it was kind of up to me, and that's why I mention it so much, because it's still just it's such a void in people's knowledge and understanding. So I try to share as much as I can, though it should be more common knowledge, because creators should be more open about how it works. You know what I mean? And and the thing is, like, it's not that complicated, really. Like, there are some like little specifics here or there that you got to kind of dig into, but for the most part, it really is just who is getting closer to potentially ending the fight through damage or through submission attempts. That's really it, man. That's it. Those are the two things. Those are the two ways you can finish a fight in MMA, is by damaging your opponent with strikes or by submitting them. Those are the two pathways to do it. So, there are some little nuances here or there when it comes to like achieving dominant positions, but for the most part, that's what you're looking for. It's not control time. It's not a takedown. You know what I mean? And it's not that hard, and people should know that better. That's what it is. Way too many dollars. The scary thing with CP is he won't get gun shy like Ian. I don't feel like Ian was super gun shy. But like, yeah, it's hard. You don't want to like move forward with strikes all willy nilly when, someone's looking to grab a hold of you. And obviously, like, Gary doesn't have a ton of power, so it's not like he can really commit to stepping in trying to crack him, because it's pretty low. It's pretty high risk, low reward. Like, he needed a head kick, and Ian was setting up good head kicks, and he did land that one good head kick. It was partially blocked, but he did kind of get Islam clean with it. But like Prates, if he touches you, can put you to sleep like that. So for Prates, he'll be more willing to throw, because he's not gonna. Again, for him, it is risky, but it's way more high reward. But for Ian, it's like, if I step in with a fucking overhand, if I whiff and Islam closes the distance, I'm on my back. And I'm probably going to be stuck here for a long time. If I do land, I'm not going to knock him out, most likely. So, it's just different with how they match up to him, Well, guys, all right. I guess we'll be doing this tomorrow. I'm very curious to hear about this. We'll be doing this tomorrow. But for now, I guess I'll see you guys later. Make sure you watch my video yesterday if you haven't yet. I will see you guys all later. All right, goodbye, everybody. Never mind. Carlos Content Enthusiast, thank you for another $5. Prates is absolutely lethal against southpaws, but people don't even consider that. They just think Islam's going to grab the leg and the fight's over. Yeah, I mean, for sure. That's a problem, right? That's a problem. Dude, Prates, he has shown really good takedown defense. He's shown really good grappling. Dude, it's a shame because Leon is on a losing skid against two really tough matchups. And again, like you said, Leon's a southpaw, which really favored Prates in that matchup. It's like people just like, again, it's just so different. Like, Leon's a really high level grappler who was able to, he struggled at first, but he was able to get to Prates' back, and he was able to do some good work there. But because he got knocked out, people just say, oh, well, Leon sucks. Therefore, the fact that Prates did struggle at all in the grappling is a huge embarrassment, even though those are two completely fucking different things. You know what I mean? Getting cracked by a straight right hand from Prates shouldn't have anything to do with your opinion on whether or not he was able to grapple him. You know what I mean? So, for sure, dude. For sure. I'm a CP enjoyer. 100%. I am. I'm a big CP enjoyer. I really am, man. Love CP. All right. Anything else before I leave? Anything else before I'm out of here, man? Before I end the broadcast? All right, I'm out of here, guys. See ya.